In that same, related to that question, when you're in the midst of writing a book, whatever, and you have ideas of others, how do you segregate that in the brain?
How do I make
you
notes?
Jot them down?
I make notes. That happens a lot. He asked me, how do I keep track of when I get ideas for one book, when I've got another book? Well, first I've got to finish that book,
right.
You know, or otherwise they don't pay me, and then someone takes my house away. So
which one?
It's like it's a big contest, you know, I'm always in. You know, I'm always in the anti-lotto. It's like, well, if I don't finish this book, I lose my house. So that's a motivator. But
and you drive editors crazy if you throw them other ideas too soon.
Well, there's no reason to throw them ideas out of order. But what I do is I have a file, you know, and I used to be a notebook, now it's a file, and as I get ideas for the next book, like I have told a bunch of you I want to do a sequel to A Dirty Job. I've known that since I wrote A Dirty Job. And,
Dirty Deed?
I don't know. Well, yeah, the title will be probably the last thing that I come up with. But the point is, I have ideas for that all the time because I live in the city. The book's set in the city, and I'll see something, and I'll go, well, that'll go in the book. Because a lot of the stuff in my San Francisco book, as you guys know, I'm not making up. The I am poor, my cat is huge is not a creation of my imagination. That was a guy at Market and Fourth.
And Lazarus.
Yeah. So a lot of that stuff, you know, you just collect it as you go along and go, I'm going to use this. When and so I just keep different files for books that I'm going to do, and figure when I get to it. A lot of times is like, I'll solve that problem when I get to it because I can't do the problem solving part of writing a book ahead of time. That's what I do when I do the proposal and send it in, and that's when they send me money, you know, the first time. And the proposal usually always has something like, I'm not quite sure how this works, I'll figure it out. You know, because it doesn't make sense. And then I get to that part in the book and I'm like, God, I can't believe they thought I could figure this out. Which really does happen in Lamb. I send Biff and Josh off to the, you know, all I knew in that book was like, and then they go to see, you know, the Hillel, the great rabbi in the temple, and he says, well, your mother's always talking about these three wise men that were at your birth. Go ask them how to be the Messiah. And that was really all I knew. And I was like, and then in the proposal it was like, and then they go off to find the three wise men. And so I get to that part in the book and I'm like, yeah, they were like, I got them to like Syria. I got them to, and I was like, they were, whatever that town was, Damascus. I got them to Damascus, and they were there for 6 months. I mean, in the book, they're only there for like 2 days, but in the real time, they were there for 6 months because like, I don't know where they're going next. You know, and those of you who have been following me for a while, you know I saw that problem. I was like, okay, they're going to go on the Silk Road, and here's the map of the Silk Road at the time, and there's like nothing between here and China except this town here, Kabul. Something's going to happen there. You know?
And they didn't sit for 6 months and snort frankincense. I mean,
No. I mean, the story didn't move at all. I did stuff like, you know, became a grandmaster of, you know, robo mechanic on Xbox and shit like that. But you know, I mean, my life moved on. I bought a house to avoid writing that book. It was like a big house I couldn't afford. I was just like, well, that'll fuck things up for a while. Calling New York going, there's no tile in the bathroom. I can't work on this book.
Which character was your favorite to write for this book?
Which character was my favorite to write for this book? Oh, Henri Toulouse-Lautrec, without a doubt. He's so funny. To me. And that's always usually good for you guys. You know, when there's somebody that I get to, I was like, I can't wait to get to him. He was pretty terrific to write. I like Juliet's character, who is multidimensional, as you'll find out. But when I was getting to, you know, write a Henry part, it was really fun. And the thing about, I think a lot of people my age anyway, have this attitude that Henri Toulouse-Lautrec was this depressed, you know, always in pain because of his injuries and so forth, you know, drunk. And everything that you read about him from his friends at the time has nothing at all to do with that. And you look at the photographs of him, and he's completely out of his mind. You know, he's dressed like a geisha, he's dressed like a clown, or he's standing there with like 4 whores by a painting. Not kidding. When you go to the chapter guide, you'll see. You know, he's standing there. I talk about this prostitute named Muriel, who was, quote, his favorite, and she's in one of the photographs of one of his paintings with him. You know, so it's not. I'm not making this stuff up. So he was like kind of fun to write, definitely. The character, the historian, the historical person I gained the most affection for was probably Camille Pissarro, and you'll read about him too. But he was like everybody's favorite uncle of all the Impressionists, and he's like in his 60s, and this kid named Seurat starts saying, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to paint with pure color and dots, and here's the oldest of the Impressionists goes, yeah, I'm going to try that. Which I love about him. I love, you know, he mentors, and all of them say this in their letters and accounts. He mentors Renoir and Monet and Cézanne and Gauguin, but when things start to change, he's like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. And so he became really, I have a great attachment to Pissarro. When before, he's probably one of the lesser known of the Impressionists, but the funnest was definitely Toulouse-Lautrec. So let's do one more question, and then I'll start signing books. Yeah, sure.
Will we ever see Tommy and Jody again?
Will you ever see Tommy and Jody again? I don't know if I'll write another vampire book, but as you know, Dirty Job takes place in the same neighborhood, and people wander from book to book, aimlessly. A lot of my characters don't really, they're lost a lot. So it's a possibility. I almost feel like I have to write like Abby Normal. And Tommy is still, but I'm not going to give her her own chapters anymore, because, well, she's annoying. I lied. There was one back here that I wanted, yeah. What was your question?